Morning, guys.
Morning. How are you?
See,
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
Wonderful.
Good to have you on
Wonderful.
this
I'm glad to hear that.
sorry for the mix-up.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Thank you. Thank you for waiting on us.
Absolutely.
I'm down in a place called Kenai, Alaska right now, and we're down here for a couple days doing some fishing.
No
And
way.
the internet's here. The service here is it's kind of sporadic.
Yeah.
So I
imagine.
apologize. I always 100% of the time, if there's an opportunity for me to have my camera on, I always do it. But I don't know if I'm going to have enough service to. So I figured maybe
All right.
I'll keep it off so I can kind of lower the bandwidth a little bit. So at least hopefully I don't cut in and out.
For sure.
Listen, for you to take time out of your vacation and give us this time is just amazing. We
Oh,
appreciate
the
it.
pleasure is all mine. No, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's great to connect with you guys. Thank you guys for being here. I think
Yeah,
Chris is getting ready to. I sent him that link as well, so he'll be here
Oh, good.
momentarily.
Because I did too. Okay, so
Oh,
he's probably like, okay, I got it.
No, not at all. Listen, is everybody in here sub 2? I see a sub 2. I see Jason's wearing a sub 2 hat.
Oh yeah.
Or is everybody kind of all over the place?
Little all over the
yeah.
place.
All
Yeah.
over the place?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was trying to get a couple of realtor, acquaintances of mine to come on as well. But yeah, this is our group, and this is a group that we're just starting. We are, hungry. We are smart. Well, I am. And
Hi.
we're all
Oh, I love
hungry,
it.
ready to take this thing to another level. So you and Chris being on here is just along our line of exactly what we're trying to do, is take this thing to that level. So
Awesome.
yeah, so that's what. Hi, I'm Marty. So anyway, so that's kind of where we are. Do you want to wait on Chris?
No, we can get going. We can get
Okay.
going. Yeah, and he'll jump in whenever he gets in here.
Okay.
I know he's sometimes his internet's almost as if he has like borrowed internet from Alaska or something. Sometimes it's the craziest thing. I don't know what his deal is, but anyway, cool. Well, if you guys want to, I mean, Chris. So first and foremost, Chris and I just want to be a resource and an asset any way that we can. Actually, we spent the morning. We had a meeting yesterday with Pace's team. Can you guys hear me? Okay, by the way, I feel like I'm yelling, but I
Yes.
don't want to feel. I want you guys to feel like I'm sitting here yelling at you.
No, you're good.
All right. All right. So yesterday, Chris and I had a meeting with Pace's team. Actually, we got a kind of a really neat Zoom that we're working on, and it's kind of like speed dating networking Zoom. And the way that we're kind of tailoring it is, we don't want people just jumping in and then just networking with like 100 different people with no rhyme or reason, no direction, nothing like that. And so there's going to be kind of an educational piece to it, I guess you could say, that kind of gives everybody some clarity and some ideas on learning how to reframe your goals and realign and readjust your day based on what your avatar is, so that you start seeing where the pitfalls are in your business. Because right now, the issue that most people have is that they're trying to do everything in their business. They're trying to be the one. They got to do the market analysis, and then they got to figure out what CRM they're going to use, what list they're going to skip trace, what service they're going to use to skip trace that list with, what tools they're going to use to reach out to people on that list.
Right.
Then they got to find either somebody or themselves to call this list. Then they've got to do the follow-up, and they've got to create processes, and they got to streamline those processes.
Yep.
Anyway, there's automations. I mean, there's just so much to it, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention, you got to find buyers. You got to get the paperwork right. You've got to, you got to find private money. You got to do all these things. And the issue that most people run into is they try to do everything themselves. So when you think about like setting goals, for example, what happens come November, December timeframe when people start setting goals? They start Say that again.
I was just saying if they don't get achieved.
Yeah. Most of them don't.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily because they were bad goals or anything, but they just didn't understand how to reframe and properly structure a goal so that they have the clarity they need to be able to move forward and maximize the return on investment with regard to their time. And so they set a goal like November, December, for example, because we got New Year right around the corner. And a lot of people make a goal of, we'll say, they're like, hey, I want to do $20,000 a month by December 31st of next year. Well, then come January, they do exactly what we just got done talking about. They're literally running around like a chicken with their head cut off. They're doing everything they can because in their head, the busier they are, that's going to, that equates to success, which obviously is not the case. I actually had somebody reach out to me, I think it was last week, who's been in Sub 2 for 2 years and they haven't done a deal yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a lot of times it's simply just because most people don't have the clarity on what it is they should be doing. People think because they're busy, they're being productive, which is not the case.
Right.
So part of this Zoom that we're doing is showing people how to realign their goals. And we'll use the gym, for example. So January 1st rolls around, they got 200% of the max capacity of these gyms being filled for the first 2 or 3 weeks. But then, Kim, what happens 2 or 3 weeks into the new year?
I start drinking again.
So Kim starts drinking again. Everybody else stops going to the gym. And then you become inconsistent, right? But you set a goal out at the beginning of the year or at the end of the previous year even to, have 6-pack abs or lose X amount of weight or whatever it is.
Right.
But then you don't see immediate results. And not only do you not see immediate results, life starts happening. Everyone's coming back from Christmas break and New Year's break. And, the kids have dance recitals and piano practices. And you got stuff going on at work. Everybody's back to work now. So then you start becoming more inconsistent in going to the gym.
Yeah.
And then you start falling off. And then that's where 80 to 90% of New Year's resolutions die is within the first couple weeks of the new year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's not that having 6-pack abs was a bad goal, but they when they think about goals, they think about it in the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is 6-pack abs is a direction you want to go. It's an avenue, it's a road, but it's not a goal. So it's the little things that you do in between that most people see as maybe a good idea or a milestone even, but they don't see it as a goal.
Yeah.
So if you start becoming inconsistent with going to the gym in the first 2 or 3 weeks, and it's because just life happens and things get busy and all that other kind of stuff, most people just give that as an excuse or say, hey, you know what? Now's not a good time for me to go to the gym. Maybe I'll restart this, once the summer hits. The kids are out of school and I don't have as much going on. And then they give themselves the excuse of, hey, you know what? Even if I start this in the summer, I've still got 6 months to accomplish my goal for the year.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because even when you look at big corporations and even Fortune 500 companies, when you look at how their performance is throughout the year compared to even the fourth quarter, fourth quarter, sometimes they do double in just those last 3 months than what they did the entire rest of the year. Is because it's crunch time now. They have 12 weeks to hit that target, to hit that goal. So nothing else changed other than, it's not so far away now.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to 6-pack abs, for example, that's the direction we want to go, but that's not the goal. So if you can't get to the gym after work, then you need to reframe. Your goal needs to now be waking up at 4 a.m. and going before work so that you are consistent, so that you do get it done. So the goal is now, it's not 6-pack abs. The goal is waking up at 4 a.m. because that in and of itself for most people is a struggle.
Yeah.
That is hard.
Yeah.
So that has to become the freaking goal now. Now, for
Yeah.
somebody who puts the blinders on and their nose to the grindstone and just is consistent with getting up at 4 a.m., guess what now becomes a byproduct of consistency in 6 months?
Mm-hmm.
Their six-pack abs, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
So that's how we need to think about goals. That's how we need to reframe those goals. And it's the same with wholesaling. If you want to make 20 grand a month, the first thing you should not do January timeframe is start running around like a chicken with your head cut off and doing anything and everything. So you got to take the time to step back, look at your business, what it is you're trying to do, and reframe those goals. The goal is not $20,000 a month. That is the direction. That is the road that we want to go down. But the goals need to be the things that you do in between. It needs to be seen more than, hey, this would be a good idea, or hey, maybe I should do this. It needs to be seen as the goal. Just like waking up at 4 a.m., you need to reframe it. So that is the actual goal. And each and every day you're hitting that goal.
Daily.
It has to be inexcusable. And guess what? Guess what's going to happen at the end of the year?
Yeah.
You're going to build a real estate wholesaling company that is now doing $20,000 a month in revenue as a byproduct. It happens as a byproduct of you hitting your goals that year.
Totally get it.
And so I'm really a big fan of reframing and working in like 12-week increments. What you can do in a year, look at it and say, hey, how do we do this in 3 or 4 months? And that's how we do it. So that's some of the stuff that Chris and I are going to be talking about with this new thing going on with Pace. And then once everybody kind of has some of that clarity of, okay, this is my avatar, and this is actually how I should be spending my day, you're going to start to see different pitfalls in your business because you're no longer doing everything, right?
Right.
So if your avatar is a closer, for example, anything to do with paperwork, anything to do with finding buyers, anything to do with raising capital, anything to do with anything not getting on the phone and talking to sellers is what you should not be doing.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to do it as a closer, how does it get done?
Well, the other thing too is, and I like that, Jesse, real quick, is that you do things together. Like when I go to the gym and stuff like that, I go with a trainer because I know my limitations. I know that I won't go, but if I have to answer to that person and I have to go there and I've set the appointment, I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the same way with all of this, like I couldn't do all this stuff without Joseph, and all these people. That's why I like talking to them. And real quick, before we go on, because I love all this stuff, Jesse, there are people in here that may not know who you are. Shocker. But they may not. And you and Chris, do you mind just giving them just a little, who you are?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So my name is Jesse Stanton. I hail from a small village in Alaska called Wasilla. I live up here with my wife and 4 kids, 2 Yorkies and 3 moose. And I've been in Subto for 3 years. I've been in Subto since Pace started the mentorship. And Chris has been in for over going on 2.5 years now. And we're both mastermind students. And Chris and I have been business partners for a little over a year now, about 13.5 months. And he lives in New York, and I'll let him introduce himself. And I live in Alaska, and got an entire country between us. So we thought, hey, you know what? We got 50 states, well, 49 states that could be our playground. So we're kind of doing things nationwide right now.
Wish I invented Zoom. That's all I got to say.
Through that, and I do this full time.
Chris.
Amazing. So I'll just jump into it as well. My name is Chris James. Sorry, I was a little bit tardy today. Sorry about that.
You're good.
As Jesse stated, I'm in New York, primarily in upstate New York, Rochester, to be specific. I am a mastermind student, as Jesse stated as well. My background is more so in the hospitality restaurant industry. I was a GM for about 7 years, a director of operation, running restaurants for 3 years before I jumped into real estate. And I do this full time as well, and I only got 1 kid. I don't got an entire army like Jesse does, but yeah. So I'm doing this full time as well, and it's been amazing.
thank you, Chris, for taking the time to be with us, our group. It really, really means a lot to us that you guys did that. So
No worries.
okay, cool. All right, that was all. I just wanted to kind of let everybody know who didn't know who you were to know who you
Sure.
were. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. So anyway, yeah. So that's just kind of some of the things that Chris and I are working on right now, with Pace specifically. Yeah, Chris, anything else you want to add or anything else that I'm missing, brother?
I think you hit the nail right in the head, man. We're doing a lot of different neat things, not just within Subto, but also with our private community as well. Our business is definitely revamping into a amazing direction. I'm not sure if Jesse touched on that a little bit, but more so, we're touching literally all 50 states. But well, I'll rephrase this: we're not touching Illinois, but but we buy in a lot of different areas, which is amazing, especially when it comes to the creative finance world. Being a Subto, the sky's the limit, right? So it's just a matter of knowing the right people, understanding exactly what the margins are, what you're getting yourself into, and doing your due diligence.
Yeah. I totally agree. Okay. I know our group had some questions that they wanted to just sort of ask the two of you, if we can do that, if that's okay. There was a question, I think, Joseph, did you have a couple of questions?
Yeah, we had a few that we were questions that we've been working through as Kim, myself, and Jason have been working together. The first one that we were looking at is, what are the differences that you guys are seeing when you guys are working single family deals compared to commercial multifamily deals? What are the different hiccups that you guys run into between the two?
So, Jesse, am I if I take this one?
No, go ahead, brother.
So when dealing with multifamily, commercial, and all that good, well, just commercial in general, it's a totally different ball game versus residential. So essentially, on the hypothetical, if you're dealing with commercial units, just say you got 100 units, you're gathering a lot of different financials versus on a single family, you're gathering just the basic information. And I'm just saying basic. Of course, each property will have their different nuances that you may have to gather, but the biggest difference is the due diligence period, the time of closing, and financial contingencies. So depending on the lender or whatever direction you're going, that's going to take the longest. Like for instance, a residential property, you can probably close that property in 2 weeks. Versus multifamily, you need a minimum of 6 months.
Oh, wow.
So, because you got to do your due diligence. Because you can't just, okay, let's close in 2 weeks and find out there's construction issues, there's no value added you can do with the property, there's all this different nuances, you got to walk it. And can you close sooner? 1,000%. But if you really want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row, you really don't want to close within a month time frame. But when it comes to commercial, especially with something to deal with that larger scale, you want to start talking with securities attorneys and ensure they're involved and ensure that you have some kind of transaction coordinator or TC that's helping you along the way, because those documentations it's a lot different from a single family residential purchase and sell agreement. There's some similarities, yes, but within that specific county, city, or state, there's a lot of different nuances that need to mirror what you're trying to implement, whether that's doing it traditionally or unconditional. I mean, not conditional, but untraditionally.
Mm-hmm.
So more so, I can gear that question that you said as far as cash or creative. And let me ask you specifically, were you just talking more of a broad question or just cash or creative? I just want to make sure which one you want me to answer. Because creative is a definitely different ball game, and I can go down that rabbit hole if you want to. That's not a problem, but cash is just more cash.
That's I think the short answer is just yes.
Okay.
To that, because now that opens up a whole bunch more questions. But I mean, for time's sake, probably just the simplest one.
Yeah. So just say you're doing a basic cash transaction on a multifamily. But you need to do your due diligence. That's all. You want to make sure you go into the property. You have somebody who's inspector or you want to have all these different people going there. You want to have your ducks in a row. You have about 6 or 7 different people doing walkthroughs to ensure that this is an asset that can actually produce revenue, right? And you want to ensure that these things are not small amounts of money, right? You're going into like almost maybe $5-10 million worth of acquisitions that you got to really understand thoroughly that this is something you want to put your money towards. And then also, you know, finding the private money lenders, finding which lender you want to go to, whether that's you're going with some kind of, you know, construction loan, the SCR loan, or whatever loan that may look like for that specific asset. There's a lot of due diligence that needs to happen, because essentially you can go with a loan that potentially may give you a high interest rate, which may kill the deal. So it's a lot of different factors, and I wish I can give you a perfect example, but I don't have it in front of me. As far as like to give you the breakdown of numbers and all that stuff, like, hey, this is a deal, this is not a deal. But one thing about Jesse and I, as far as within our business specifically, Jesse and I, we know how to underwrite very thoroughly, but within our business, we don't. We have somebody else that take care of that, and because we know we going back to more so the avatar series, right? We know exactly what our avatars are, and we know what we're good at. And then more so is the who, not how principle, how we actually build our entire business. We always make sure if we don't know the answer, we're going to find out who does know the answer. And of course, during that process, we specifically learn how to, you know, do a lot of the different things we don't like to do, but we did find somebody who loves to do it and wakes up and enjoy it. So why not give him the ability to do so and bring him in as, you know, whether an equity partner and or specifically whether a consultant fee, whatever that looks like. But so that's more so I know I went on tangent a little bit, but that's more so commercial. But when dealing with residential, cash and creative, I think is very identical. It's just more so just the paperwork. That is it. You really got to understand, like, if you're gonna get this at a cash, if the ARV is $200,000, don't lock it up at $200,000. It's got to be smart, right? It's got to be a smart thing. I'm not saying you will do that. It's just more so you'd be surprised how many wholesalers or people or greener investors, or just say inexperienced investors, send Jesse and I deals, and they said, I have this amazing deal for you. And when they say that, I just already know, like, it's not really that amazing. But it just, they have in their mind, this is a perfect deal. You know, how much are we going to make on this? What does that look like moving forward? And you know, one thing, Jesse and I, we really made it a staple into our business. We love to like hop on the Zoom with the individual, like, hey, this is what we're seeing on our side. This is why it's not a deal, and this is where it needs to be at. And sometimes people, even going through that breakdown that Jesse and I do, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that at all. And then we get ourselves in a situation where, I won't say a situation, we face an obstacle where more so, do we really spend more time trying to explain to someone who doesn't want to hear it, has that mindset of they're going to force this to be a deal. And then 3-4 weeks later, they're still trying to post it on Facebook, trying to say, oh, this is back on the market when you can't find a buyer. It's the reasons it's either back on the market or you're trying to extend inspection period, you're trying to give them 101 excuses. But long story short, I guess to make a long story long, I should say, it wouldn't be short, but in these kind of scenarios, you always want to make sure your numbers are correct, especially for single family and creative finance. Seller finance subject to cash, you can close those within like 2 weeks. No ifs ands or buts about that. Especially me overseeing our entire transaction company, we closed in over 32 states thus far, and literally we've seen deals go from closing in 6 days to all 6 business days. So let me put 6 business days, all the way up to 9 months. It's just the way transactions work. Of course, you know, sometimes the longer spreads between 6 and 9, you're talking about, you know, 6-digit profits, so to speak. So, you know, it's a different ball game, but more so, could that happen sooner? 1,000%. But the biggest difference just in real estate as far as commercial and residential is literally in my opinion, the asset itself, the due diligence between the two, also the inspection periods, and also just please have the right team. If you're going to take down a multifamily, don't do it yourself. I would never take down a multifamily myself. Hell, even single families, I'm still not taking those down myself.
Makes sense for sure.
Even when I got into real estate, I did one deal by myself, and I struggled. And I did it in New York. I'm not for sure if you know a lot about New York specifically, but upstate New York, We don't have title companies. So
Oh.
essentially, we have to use attorneys, not
Right.
one attorney, but you got to have a minimum of 2 attorneys, one for the seller side, one for the buyer side. And if you're a wholesaler, sometimes you got to, depending on the specific county, you got to have your own attorney. And the attorney's got to facilitate the entire transaction. So at the point in time, imagine if you didn't have any deal flow in New York and you're counting on one deal and it takes 6 months to close and you're living it off it full time. That could be a struggle if that's not a big assignment fee, right?
Right.
So after that one obstacle, this is actually the transition from the hospitality restaurant industry to real estate, going to more so the full-time entrepreneurship. And I realized, I got to get out of this market. I need to be in markets that have title companies that can close quick, because I can't keep waiting on a attorney to be, responsive. So I got to the point, like 6 months later, I finally received that first check, and after that, every single deal after that I did with somebody, and it increased my business significantly. And still to this day, I won't do a deal without anyone. Can I? 100%, but there's a lot of different. I would be limiting myself if I'm trying to do everything myself.
Right. That's amen for me. Where
I think all of that kind of touched on other follow-up questions that I had. I had questions about, like, do you guys, your transaction coordinators, do you guys train them up, or like your back-end people who are doing your underwriting, do you train them up, or is it somebody that you found in the Subto community? Or
so far as
community?
So far as the underwriting process, or just the transaction coordinator itself? Just making sure.
I had both of those, and we kind of touched on both of them. But my question more is when you find people for your teams, is it people that you find and train from the ground up, or you find people who are already experienced in that?
Both, depending on the task itself. Because initially, would it be actually, I would love to have a team that's from the ground up, to be honest, because essentially they're a little bit more coachable. You can mold them a little bit, versus someone coming with experience for like 15, 20 years. It's hard to teach new habits, right, so to speak. So it's just but we have both. 100%. We have both. We have amazing individuals that we have from Subto and non-Subto. But at the same time, it really all depends specifically what that looks like in regards to this specific task you want to bring them on for. I wouldn't just say just throw them in there and just, let's train them on everything. But whatever that looks like in regards to, like, if you want to be a TC, just want to be a TC side, that's the only thing I'm going to train them on.
It just depends on what they're looking at doing. Yeah,
100%. Because, essentially, we want to train somebody to be an underwriter when their entire thing is a connector,
Yeah.
True.
Jesse, did I miss anything in regards to that part of our business?
No, I think you got it, dude. Like Chris said, you want to do both. So right now so Chris and I are both visionaries, just to give everybody some context. So everything that we've done the last 13 months has been off the back of 2 visionaries. You can imagine how chaotic that is.
Yeah.
So we're actually in the middle right now. So the thing that I love about Chris, on top of many things, is Chris's mindset.
Yeah.
And just who he is as an individual, as a man, as a father, as a son, as a sibling, who he is as a business partner, a friend, a brother, is just so stinking unique. I'm so grateful for him. And as 2 visionaries, he gets up every single day, and I know he's working his ass off to make sure that my wife and my kids have food on the table. And I get up every day doing the same thing for him. So we have that servitude leadership type of reciprocating relationship. And so because of that, we've been able to do a lot more than most people with 3 visionaries and 5 integrators. And so it's been really neat, and we've gotten to a point to where if we want to continue scaling, we need to make some pivots in our business. We need to bring other people in who can come in and be, we're interviewing integrators. We started last week, and that's something we're continuing on this week, is interviewing integrators so that we can continue growing and scaling. And part of revamping our business and our team, with regard to your question, some of that process is going to include bringing in new people for our acquisition team. And one of the, I don't know if I would say issues, but maybe hurdles that I know I personally have faced, and I know a lot of other people have faced as well, inside and outside of Subto, is what happens is people join Subto or a community or whoever, and they start, getting their feet wet. They start learning how a business works, and once they start getting some momentum, and I know you guys have seen this in the community as well, they go to Facebook and they're like, "Hey guys, we're looking to bring on an acquisition manager. We'll train you. We'll do right?"
Right.
Now the problem is there's a mindset issue there, and not necessarily an intentional one. But what I mean is, why do most people join a community like Subto or any real estate investing community or program?
To learn.
Or network.
To learn, to network. Okay, and what's going to happen as a byproduct of networking? What is the overarching goal they're trying to do here?
We're going to have other people do stuff for you, pretty much.
Okay. So they're bringing people in, they're building their business. A lot of people want to get out of a W-2.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to change their family legacy.
Yeah.
They want to create that generational wealth. They want to have a higher impact on the community and the people around them. They want to retire their parents. They want to put themselves in a position where they're not constrained by, money.
Yeah.
So the problem that most people have is when you take other people who joined a program or who are already in that mindset of, hey, I want to go do this, but now you end up in a position where you're an employee essentially in somebody's business.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Again.
the tension going into it is, hey, I'm going to go work for this guy and I'm going to learn and I'm going to commit either 6 months or 12 months or whatever. But it's not always that clear cut. What ends up inevitably happening is you get these individuals that come in and not by their own fault or anything, but they come in and as they start educating themselves, they start getting experience from working with these other individuals, inevitably they're going to start looking at their own deals. So now your business is going to start suffering because this individual's time that you brought on is now going to be split between your business, following up with your leads,
Mm-hmm.
and their own stuff that they're wanting to do now.
Yeah. Yes.
So with this in mind, I've had this happen to me the last couple of years before Chris and I got together, and we talked with another individual. Chris and I had a meeting with another mastermind student who's doing extremely well, so well as a matter of fact, his acquisitions manager is clearing 50, 60 grand a month.
Wow.
His acquisition manager.
Wow.
That is correct.
That's nuts.
So we approached him and we're like, we said, hey, we had some questions. We're trying to scale this. This is some of the issue that we're running into. Have you seen this before? Are we on the right line of thinking here? He's like, oh yeah, absolutely. He said, I ran into that issue. Let me tell you how I overcame that. I said, okay. So he said, I would never hire anybody with real estate experience. They come with too many bad habits and they want to be the CEO in 2 weeks. I said, okay. So he hires from Indeed because he said everybody who's on Indeed, they're not CEO mindset centered.
Mm-hmm.
They're an employee looking for a job. They don't want to be the CEO.
So you got more time with it.
And
Ironically,
he's been-
we talked about that.
Yeah. So he's been hiring his entire acquisition team from Indeed and just puts on their commission-based business. So that's something that Chris and I actually did. And I think we've probably got about 50 people or so that have applied. We're waiting to interview. And some of the people that applied, I was looking through some of the applications. Some of them have prior acquisition management experience, and some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for us moving forward, I think once we get an integrator in place, that's going to be part of their responsibilities is helping us hire and train and oversee, that side now. So Chris and I can go be visionaries.
Yeah.
But yeah, to answer your question, it really just kind of depends and we do both. So that's the pivot that we're making specifically with the people that we're bringing on and the lack of experience they have.
That
But
makes
hopefully
sense.
that gives you some clarity as to why.
It
Oh,
does.
yeah.
It actually answers some other questions, some follow-up questions I had on that too. It just answered all of it.
Oh, beautiful. Perfect.
So I have
Great
have a
question though.
question. I recently am trying to get my gator lending up and going so I can do some EMD and some of that other lending to the community. What advice would you guys give to somebody like me who's starting out on that avenue?
Vet them.
What'd you say?
Make sure you vet whoever you're going to give the money to.
Okay.
Not just them, but also vet the deal.
Oh yeah.
Vet
Yeah.
the deal itself. Essentially, even if you're not experienced, I don't know if you're experienced, and I'm just giving a hypothetical.
Yeah, no,
Just more so, like I know when I went through, like if I'm going to lend or if I'm going to give somebody money for a gator lender or any kind of lending itself, I'm going to ensure that I look at the deal myself. And if I don't know anything about underwriting, I'm going to have somebody else look at it for me before I give them the green light.
Okay.
Or if I'm going to, and so you don't have to inconvenience everybody every time. Chris hinted at this earlier. Anytime that you guys face an obstacle in your business, 9 times out of 10, most people's first thought process and mindset going into it is, oh, I need to figure out how to underwrite.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're in the position where you said you're a gator lender, right?
Right.
Instead of figuring out how to market yourself to become the Michael Jordan of gator lenders, now you're splitting your time and having to learn how to underwrite so that you know how to properly vet the deals that get sent to you, which is the wrong thing to do.
Okay.
If you don't know how to underwrite them, not saying you do or you don't, I'm just saying if you just try to give an example, if you don't know how to underwrite and it's not the highest and best use of your time, then the first question you should be asking yourself isn't, how do I learn how to underwrite? Where are the things for underwriting? And how do I split my time between learning how to do this and putting my name out there? The question is, who knows how to underwrite and who can I bring into my business? And we somehow, work together. Maybe they make 10% for just the only thing they do is just take 10 minutes and underwrite the thing and tell me if this is good or not.
Cool. Okay.
That makes sense.
Thank you. Yeah,
I like that.
Cool. Yeah.
So then your entire, all of your time now is just being spent. Hey guys, I'm a gator lender. I got money that I want to give you.
Yeah.
It's your money and you want it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
Jesse, you need to be like voiceovers in commercials or something.
I keep telling him he got a radio voice. It could be a late
You know
night
what I
host or
mean,
something.
Chris, seriously.
You're right. Maybe I'm wasting my time with real estate. Maybe you guys are right. Maybe I need to be more focused.
Sorry, Chris.
Coast to coast, Jesse Stanton.
You just have that.
Yes, the podcast.
You have that great voice. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's it. Just to kind of give you some examples on what you should be doing. If you're a gator lender, all of your time should be focused on how do you become the Michael Jordan of gator lenders. Because I mean, the gator tribe is growing. It's growing rapidly. And we're all here to work together, collaborate and JV and do all the things. But at the same time, let's not pretend like we're not competing against everybody else.
Yeah.
So with all these gators, you got to ask the question. It's not enough to just get on there and make a post and say, hey, I'm a gator lender, because that's what everybody else is doing. So what else is it that you could be doing to market yourself, to put yourself out there, to build and solidify these relationships with individuals
Mm-hmm.
so that they continually keep coming back to you, especially, like Chris said, vetted individuals.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So maybe if I were you, I'm just spitballing, I'm not a gator lender, but if I was you and I was a gator lender, one of the first things I would probably do is I guess let me just ask you, do you understand how to underwrite these and properly vet these?
I know how to underwrite a little bit. The gator lending part, I literally just started to the point where I'm still waiting on my EIN to get back. So,
Gotcha. Okay.
very, very, very fresh, very rookie on the gator.
That's okay. So I'd hit the ground running then. I would, if I were you today, I would make a goal today of saying, all right, between now and Friday, I'm going to find 25 people that I can have a conversation with. And of those 25 people, I'm going to find, put a number of 5, a minimum of 5, who are actually moving and shaking and doing stuff.
Okay.
Because it's not to say that you can't work with new people, but if you're going to become the Michael Jordan of it, where's the best and highest use of your time?
Experienced people.
Yeah.
So at least just to get my wheels turning, what I would do is I put a goal and say, hey, I'm going to talk to 25 people this week. Now, those 25 people, I'm going to find 5 at least who are vetted, who are doing deals, and I'm going to put those 5 on a spreadsheet. And every single week, I'm going to meet with 25 more new people.
Okay.
And I'm going to continue putting at a minimum 5 vetted individuals. Now, let's say you get a list of 5 of like 50 people. Do this over the course of the next couple months. And once you have a list of 50 people that are just doing deals, I would now make it a part of my business plan, like part of your day, like time block it into your day for maintaining relationships with those 50 people. And if you can structure, if you can send it, for example, I do something similar with all my private money lenders, with all the connectors and people that I'm working with, is I've compiled a list of them. And at 0600 every day, my phone goes off and it says, Jesse, send 3 gratitude texts. I have a reminder every single day at 06 and 3 gratitude texts.
I love that.
And I go down that list and I'm just sending gratitude texts to everybody so I can maintain those relationships.
Okay.
And when you're top of mind, that's when those people are going to be, you want to get to a point to where, if you're raising private capital, those lenders are reaching out to you.
Yeah.
Chris and I actually had a meeting with one of our lenders last night, and she was like, guys, I've got this stuff going on. She even told Chris and I, she's like, guys, I don't want my money back. She said, if you sell or refinance this property and you give me my money back, I'm going to give it right back to you. I don't want it.
I want that.
Yeah.
So that's the relationship that we have. So it's not enough to just talk to a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Most people are going to be inconsistent. Most people wake up every day as if it was on accident. They have no idea who they're going to talk to. They have no idea how many people they're going to talk to. They have no idea what those conversations are going to be like. They might go comment on 50 people's freaking Facebook pages and then never get back to them. They're not intentional. They may get back with them 2 weeks later. So you need to structure your day to where it is consistent, it is meticulous, and you're waking up with a purpose, and you know exactly who you're going to talk to, what those conversations are going to be like. And, you need to be asking those 2 questions. What do you have and what do you need?
Yeah.
Okay.
Love it. I love that gratitude thing.
Oh, great.
I'm implementing that tomorrow. So watch out for your texts, Jesse and Christopher and Joseph and John and Will and Amar. Watch out. For real.
No, I love it.
I love that.
I love it. Yeah, it's not enough to just talk to people, man. You got to become the Michael Jordan of making friends.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're putting yourself as a gator, you need to start thinking about how you're going to tailor your presentation, your marketing, how people are going to know you. And if you can get those 50 people who are vetted, dude, like that would be all that you would need. I mean, you don't even need 50. I was being generous. But if you could do 50, bro, you would have more than enough people to sit there and give money to and just sit back and, let your money do its thing.
Yeah, let it flow. Okay.
I love that.
You spend 15 minutes sending 3 texts out a day after you have 50 people, and now you're just maintaining.
Mm.
Now you're just maintaining. So here's a metaphor I like to use when it comes to, because we're kind of getting into the conversation of setting goals a little more granular now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So think about it like this, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Everybody knows who the man is. So when he was training for Mr. Olympia, do you guys think Arnold Schwarzenegger was going in there and just working out 18 hours a day and working every part of his body until complete exhaustion? No, he had a plan. And the way that he was interesting, because the way that he staggered it he would like train each body part in like 4-week increments. Now, like let's say for the first 4 weeks, he was training chest. And his entire focus, his entire day, right down to the things that he was eating, his macros and his micronutrients, were centered around the blood flow and developing and building a bigger chest. Now, over the course of those 4 weeks, even though that was his intention, it's not like he wasn't doing leg day, right? Arnold ain't out there skipping leg day, but everything else, his back, his shoulders, his arms, his legs, he was just maintaining. And he'd build a new chest, he'd maintain everything else. Now, at the end of 4 weeks, when he's got this new chest, he just maintains it now. It's just maintaining. It's on autopilot. Maintains it. Now he goes and does another 4-week stand focused on building his legs. So that's how you need to think about building your business. Come January, not even come January, now. Don't run around like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to do anything and everything. Just systematize it. Be intentional with it. Put some numbers in together that you can start tracking. The more hands you shake, the more money you make. Once you get your 50 people, that's enough people for you to sit here and just let your money do its thing. Now you're just maintaining. You've built it up. You built this new chest. Now you're just maintaining. Now you go off and start building another part of your business. And you maintain what you're already doing with those 50 people.
And that just seems advice for everything. Everything we're trying to build, everything.
Say that again.
I said that's good advice for everything we're trying to build.
Yeah. You got to pick one thing, focus on one thing, build that, and then everything else you just maintain.
Yeah, love it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Jesse. That was great.
Yeah, this has been
great question.
This has been absolutely amazing. I appreciate your time. I can't believe you guys have spent almost an hour just helping us.
I know. I was going to say we've got like
stuff.
7 minutes left. We're not going to keep you more than an hour. Does anybody else have anything they want to get from the masterminds?
The masterminds themselves.
Masterminds. Which is where I want to go. How long did it take you guys to become masterminds?
I don't know. I think that's kind of an interesting question because mastermind, I mean, I know people that joined, like from a technical standpoint, if I'm understanding your question right, I know people that Chris and I went to a mastermind with that joined Subto like that same week. They just paid for Subto and paid for the mastermind all in 1 week.
Wow.
So then technically they're masterminds.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Got you. Okay.
So just whenever you decide to pay for it is when you become a mastermind.
Good answer.
I support it.
Awesome.
Awesome. Okay. Nobody else have any questions? Don't be shy.
Hey, you guys have had some great questions today.
Yeah, just
Great
feel free to
answer,
reach
too.
out anytime. We're here to be a resource, whatever that looks like.
I hope you don't regret saying that, Chris, because I love to call and talk to people.
I don't use. Oh, okay, cool. So we got a chat in here, right?
We
Yeah.
do.
We do.
Okay, cool. I hardly ever use this platform. I just put my number in there in the chat. If you guys need anything at all, I'm most responsive on text. Most of the time, I mean, as you can probably tell, Chris and I have our days like time blocked down to the minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I can if you need something, please feel free to shoot me a text. I'm pretty responsive on text. So
Yep.
even if I'm in meetings or whatever, I can at least get back to you and let you know I got your message and we can line up a time to jump on a call. But if you guys need anything, man, the last thing you guys should be doing is sitting around, just because you don't know the answer to something. So
Yeah,
please feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you both so
course.
much for your time. It's been absolutely amazing talking with y'all.
You guys are
Oh, bro,
great.
likewise. The
Thank you,
pleasure is
guys.
all ours. Thank you for having us. And thank you for
Absolutely.
setting this up, Kim. This is awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I hope we can do it again. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have an outstanding day.
Thanks, Kim.
Likewise.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. Love you guys.
Take it easy.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
That was awesome.
That went off well.